On the day Canada crossed the threshold of 100 coronavirus cases, Ottawa was explicit for the first time about what researchers say could be on the way.
Are you planning the worst?
Absolutely.
Most cases would feel like a cold, but as many as 25 million Canadians could catch the virus. Daunting numbers calmed by expert advice.
Walking that fine line, being mindful but not going overboard.
With Canadian health, but also jobs and businesses in mind, the Prime Minister says his team is ready.
$1 billion COVID-19 response fund.
But is the world ready?
Alarming levels of inaction.
And so, for the first time, these words from the WHO: the coronavirus is officially a pandemic. This is a special edition of The National. Good evening, I'm Adrienne Arsenault.
And I'm Andrew Chang. That declaration from the World Health Organization and that plan from the Canadian government are the starting points for our full hour of coverage on this rapidly spreading virus.
Tonight, we'll take on the urgent questions here at home and around the world. Hospitals are getting ready, so we've got an inside view of what that looks like. Community spread has begun in Canada, so what does that mean for your daily life? One thing's for certain, many sports events will be affected. You'll have lots of questions, and our healthcare experts are standing by. They'll be here on set to help throughout the program. But health isn't the only issue. We'll look at the impact on jobs and the markets, something the U.S. president is talking about tonight in Washington. But let's begin our coverage in Ottawa with David Cochrane.
It's $1 billion down payment for the battle against COVID-19, with the promise of more to come.
We will be there to support provinces. We'll be there to support businesses. We will be there to support Canadians through this difficult time.
Half of this money goes directly to provinces and territories to boost their health systems. There's hundreds of millions for coronavirus research, $100 million for public health measures such as testing and Indigenous health, and $50 million for equipment such as masks and gloves. Then there's the economic response.
No one should have to worry about their job if they have to be quarantined. No employer should feel like they have to lay off a worker because of the virus.
On that front, the government is waiving the one-week period to get employment insurance benefits. It will explore financial support for Canadians who aren't eligible for EI and is prepared to help companies with credit and cash flow problems if the economic hit becomes severe. The idea is that removing financial worries will allow Canadians to follow medical advice.
The advantage of being in the Canadian system is that people will be supported to do what public health has asked them to do.
In essence, Canada is preparing for the worst while asking Canadians to do their best to help slow the virus. It's officially a pandemic, and projections show that without precautions, the spread can be severe.
So this is scientific evidence that is still not firm. I will say that there are ranges of the potential infection for any population, and it is somewhere in the 30 to 70% category. It's important to remember, though, for the majority of people, this will feel like a cold or a flu.
Of course, Canada is still a long way from seeing numbers in that range, but as the experiences in other countries has shown, the escalation can be swift and severe. David Cochrane, CBC News, Ottawa.
Let's take a look now at the Canadian cases. Canada has now reported at least 118 cases, 43 in Ontario, 46 in BC, where one person, a man in his 80s, has died. There are 19 cases in Alberta, 9 in Quebec, and New Brunswick reported its first case today. Now, most are considered mild, and the overwhelming majority are travel-related. But several of those new cases in Ontario do have officials especially concerned as they scramble to reverse engineer who some of those newly infected people came into contact with. Vicadopia explains.
The world's largest mining conference, thousands of people from more than 100 countries coming together to
shake hands with the world.
And they did, from industry people to Indigenous leaders, right on up to Ontario's Premier and the Prime Minister. Conference organizers took some precautions, and yet a man in his 50s who was there took the illness home to Sudbury. Health officials are scrambling to trace the source.
We do know that the individual did not travel abroad, so doesn't have a travel history. We are not aware that the individual was in contact with a known confirmed case. So these are worrisome. These are of concern.
Elsewhere, Ottawa's first case, a man in his 40s, homesick with symptoms after a trip to Austria. And across the province in Hamilton, a cancer doctor back from a Hawaiian vacation tested positive on Monday, but not before she saw 14 patients.
And we all know that they're a particularly vulnerable group of patients. And I think what it speaks to is our vigilance now, should any of these individuals develop symptoms, that we have an extremely low threshold to bring them in.
7 hospital staff are also in isolation. It's a lot for patients to process.
I'm trying not to panic at this moment. I mean, I think it was inevitable for it to spread. It was just a matter of time for it to come.
It's going to happen no matter what.
This infectious disease doctor agrees, but he says avoiding large gatherings and keeping personal distance can help.
That gives the virus fewer opportunities to actually spread. And remember, the spread of this virus is not linear, it's actually exponential. So the spread of the virus is going up very quickly. It starts slow, but then it really gets going.
And there is no shortage for the virus to spread. It turns out that sick doctor in Hamilton also traveled with her husband, who's a surgeon at another hospital. Vic Adopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Now we have Dr. Alison McGeer joining us. And Dr. McGeer, you were instrumental in helping manage the SARS outbreak here in Canada back in the early 2000s. What should Canadians be bracing for right now?
So what's really different from the SARS outbreak, the SARS outbreak was very focused in hospitals and infections of healthcare workers. So also a serious problem, but very different. This is more like an influenza pandemic, where the problem is community infections, and our issue in hospitals is not necessarily that healthcare workers aren't at risk, but that it's the extra number of patients that we will have to care for in healthcare workers. So the two issues are pressure on the healthcare system,
right,
and then the disruption of work, because so many people who are not seriously ill are ill enough to stay home.
But when it comes to the community spread issue that you were just mentioning, is there a point at which you would imagine we would see more proactive measures being taken? And I'm thinking about school closures, cancellations of events, that sort of thing.
Yes, and I think we're already beginning to see that happening with people canceling concerts and hospitals canceling large meetings, and I think we will see more of that. At the moment, because what we want to do is slow this down, right, we're not going to make it go away. But if we can slow it down, it'll be better. And so we're starting, and I think people can expect over the next few weeks to see more of those cancellations.
Dr. McGeer, thanks so much.
So let's move to the United States, where the number of cases has jumped more than 1,000% since the start of the month. The U.S. has now reported over 1,200 cases, at least 35 of them fatal. The largest clusters in California, New York, and Washington. That's the hardest hit state so far, with over 365 cases and at least 29 deaths. 12 other states have now recorded at least 10 infections. So the rapid spread of COVID-19 is driving some drastic new measures across the United States. Today, Stephen D'Souza traveled north of Manhattan, where a prosperous bedroom community is struggling to contain an outbreak.
Inside the containment zone, life can be lonely. Banks are closed, and those who stay open try to stay clean. And some people question if it's all an overreaction.
Tell you were bringing a National Guard, and you say, what the hell's going on here? It's a war area. It's not.
The synagogue is the epicenter of one of the biggest COVID-19 clusters in the U.S. The majority of cases in New York State traced to one patient who worshipped here. With hundreds in voluntary quarantine, on Tuesday the state's governor announced a containment zone, spreading out in a 1-mile radius around the synagogue. Starting tomorrow, the National Guard will be on the ground, cleaning public spaces and delivering food. Schools will be shut down, large gatherings banned. But there won't be military checkpoints, so people can come and go freely.
We have students who are in school and their sibling schools are closed, so I don't see how it's really containing anything.
I think it's going to be good. I don't think it's not going to be martial law or anything along those lines.
Across the U.S., more desperate measures. Seattle took the extraordinary step of closing all schools for 2 weeks. San Francisco and San Jose banned gatherings of more than 1,000, including sporting events.
It's about making sure that we reduce and eliminate the spread.
New York joined Chicago, Boston, and Philadelphia in canceling St. Patrick's Day parade set for next week. While many colleges and universities are closing campuses and going online.
I maybe won't be able to finish my freshman year the way I wanted to, but I also sympathize and understand where the university is coming from.
Back in New Rochelle, the containment zone is causing confusion, but people just hope it works.
The unknown is the big factor here, and nobody has any answers.
A public health experiment that may soon be replicated across the country. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New Rochelle, New York.
Well, stock markets are certainly allergic to fear, and today's declaration of a pandemic ended the longest-running bull market in U.S. history. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped nearly 6% today. What makes it a bear market is that the stocks have dropped at least 20% from recent highs. The TSX is also in bear territory after diving nearly 5% today. Since late February, those Canadian stocks shed nearly $500 billion in value. So the U.S. president remains under fire today for having overstated his country's capacity to test for COVID-19. Katie Simpson did some digging into that and found a frightening mess.
Lawmakers summoned the country's top public health officials for what turned into a heated hearing on the White House's handling of coronavirus.
This administration was not prepared for this crisis, and it put lives at risk, American lives at risk.
The president on March 6th told the people in my district publicly that the tests were ready. Anybody who wants a test can go be tested. So my constituents went to their local health centers, went to their hospitals. There were no tests. Zero.
Anybody that needs a test can have a test.
Despite assurances from the president, the U.S. has struggled to develop and roll out widespread testing, and there's no clear explanation why, when other countries, including South Korea, are testing 10,000 people a day. There is added frustration in Seattle after the New York Times reported officials there wanted to ramp up testing more than a month ago, but couldn't get regulatory approval.
It delayed actually quarantining people or keeping people contained, and it enabled some of the spread that happened in the city of Seattle.
It makes me feel scared, actually, that the response is so disorderly.
Robin Schulman started showing symptoms after returning home to New York City from a trip to Toronto where she may have been exposed. But her local hospital refused to test her, and doctors gave her contradictory advice about whether she needed to self-isolate. Turns out she doesn't have coronavirus, but only got a test after she told health officials she was going public with her story.
It just seems that there's a level of chaos and disorder in the system that is not prepared to deal with mass numbers of very sick patients.
Up to 4 million test kits are supposed to be available by the end of the week, but there's no information on where they're going, who can access them, and how quickly more tests will be produced. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
So that's the United States. Let's talk Canada. Dr. Susie Hoda is here. Doctor, how is it decided who gets tested here?
So right now, what our message is if you've been traveling outside of Canada and then you develop symptoms of a respiratory infection, so cough, fever, shortness of breath, those kinds of symptoms, then you could be tested for COVID-19. We're trying to cast a very wide net. And so a simple test, a nasopharyngeal swab can be done, and results can be available within 24, 48 hours in general.
But you can't just get one if you want one.
That's right. You need to have symptoms. You need to be evaluated by a medical professional to decide that.
Is it your understanding that there are enough tests available for those who need them, and that as this trajectory changes, there will continue to be enough tests?
So there are enough tests for people who need it at the moment, but tests are not infinite. We know that there is a limited supply, and we have to use them judiciously. So our testing strategy will change over time, not just based on that, but what makes sense in terms of the evolution of the pandemic.
So some countries are doing things like having drive-through testing, or in Israel, they will go to the people who require the test. Is that on the table here?
I think anything's on the table to try and offload the healthcare system from being overburdened by this. So we're trying to explore all kinds of strategies to actually support the right kind of testing.
Okay, Dr. Hoda, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Now let's zoom out and take a look at the global picture, which has changed radically since the outbreak began. To date, there are about 120,000 confirmed cases around the world, most still in China. But a really big concern, clusters in Italy with at least 12,000 confirmed cases and 200 deaths in one day. Iran has more than 9,000 cases, and South Korea has at least 7,700. In Europe, there is a patchwork response. So far, Italy has taken the most drastic measures to curb the outbreak, but other countries are starting to follow suit. Briar Stewart explains.
On the second day of Italy under full lockdown, there were long lines at grocery stores. Now, one of the few places people are allowed to go. We should all stay at home for 2 weeks, this man said. Only by not leaving home can we return to a normal life. Italy is shutting down all shops except for grocery stores and pharmacies. Restrictive, yes, and Italy's government believes its neighbors should follow suit.
We need a common strategy in Europe, and probably we should take example from China and even from us.
Denmark has shut down schools and universities, but across Europe, each country has its own approach. Austria has banned Italians from entering the country, but Germany won't be doing the same. Even though Angela Merkel said as many as 70% of Germans could catch the virus. In the UK, no mass restrictions on events or crowds, but more disinfecting. The National Health Service is ramping up testing across the UK. Before, staff were doing about 1,500 tests a day. Now they'll be doing 10,000, including at centers like this one. Behind this gate, testing is done by drive-through. There are now more than 450 cases of COVID-19. Among the infected, a junior minister for health. Today, the government promised billions to fight the coronavirus.
That's the real risk.
But this professor says the UK's approach is laid back compared to Italy, and it's too soon to tell how effective it will be.
It will really depend what will happen over the coming, I would say, coming year, of the coming 12 months. And it might be seen as wonderful responses, or it might be seen as disastrous decisions.
And tomorrow, the UK government will hold another emergency meeting. And afterwards, officials could announce new measures to try and delay the spread of the virus. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Companies across the country are preparing for their employees to work from home.
We all carry a bit of a responsibility.
Up next, we continue our special coverage on the pandemic. From workplaces to sporting events, what is being done to prevent the spread of COVID-19?
Plus, we're inside the emergency room.
Running drills on the worst case scenario.
What you can expect if you wind up in the ER.
And later, on the road to recovery.
I feel like I'm in prison because, nobody can come see me. I can't.
A patient in quarantine shares his story. We're back in 2. Returning to our special coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic tonight, governments and healthcare systems are quickly trying to adapt, and so are workplaces. As Thomas Daigle tells us, in Canada and around the world, employees are being asked to work from home.
It may look like March break started early, but this BC tech company is actually near full force. Most of the staff are working from home.
We all carry a bit of a responsibility to make sure that we're not part of this virus spreading faster. A message out to the
Greg
team to help.
Malpass told about 1,000 workers to stay away as a precaution against COVID-19. Instead, they're using video conferencing and other technology to remain connected. His firm is following in the footsteps of Silicon Valley giants like Google, Apple, and Facebook, all suggesting employees work from home. Canadian e-commerce company Shopify is the latest, directing 5,000 staff to work remotely as of next week, canceling business trips and conferences. The Prime Minister himself floating it as a solution to help stop the spread.
We need to make sure that everyone is given the tools they need.
But so-called telecommuting only succeeds if, like Haley Laxer, your job can be done at a computer or over the phone. Diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, her immune system is already weakened, so she can't risk catching the coronavirus.
My life depends on me working from home these days. It really is a matter of life and death.
A fear of spreading the virus pushed Scotiabank to send home staff from this building in downtown Toronto. Someone inside tested positive, and the company is being extra cautious.
You just go to click.com.
So is Peter Flashner's employer. There's no sign of COVID-19 at his office, but they're set up to work remotely anyway.
I don't think we'll go back as a society to being the same as we were before. I think working from home will be a lot more of an accepted feature.
He says there's virtually no loss in productivity at home, except maybe when the dog's hungry.
Come here. Sit.
Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, getting people to work from home is about protecting the community, and often the most vulnerable in the community are the elderly. So joining us now, we have Dr. Samir Sinha. And so if I'm in regular contact with an elderly loved one, what is the best way to protect them?
Right now, the best way that we recommend protecting our elderly is to make sure that they're up to date on all their vaccinations, like their flu shot, their pneumonia shot, for example, because we're still in flu season as well. Making sure that everyone's washing their hands, and that if any one of us is actually sick, that we're actually limiting contact. Right now, there is no real threat to meeting each other because we don't have widespread community transmission in Canada yet. But right now, we recommend people see each other. And again, if you're visiting an older loved one, have you gotten your flu shot as well?
Right. And when you talk about visiting loved ones, I mean, granted that we don't have widespread community transmission here in Canada, you know, I do think of a place like Washington where the governor has imposed sort of stricter measures around care homes in terms of limiting visitors. Is that something that you think may happen?
It may happen, right? And right now, we haven't had that guidance from the Public Health Agency of Canada. And so right now, while the President of France has said, don't visit the elderly, we know that this is an important time for, you know, we want people to stay connected as is appropriate. But if things evolve, and if a care home has an outbreak, then you might be instructed that it's not appropriate to visit.
Okay, and Dr. Sinha, you will be sticking around with us because when we come back, we will put your questions on the pandemic to our panel of doctors.
And then later, a CBC News exclusive.
It's going to be really quick. Take a big breath in. That's it. It's all done.
What happens if you end up in the ER with symptoms of COVID-19? We'll take you through the steps next.
Welcome back. Now that a global pandemic has been declared for COVID-19, you have been sending us more questions than ever. So we want to get through as many of them as we can for you tonight. Joining me now, we have Dr. Susie Hoda, Dr. Samir Sinha, and across from me, Dr. Allison McGeer. Dr. Hoda, I want to maybe start with a broad question. The significance of the declaration today, that this is in fact a global pandemic.
Well,
what should we make of that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it brings us to speak in common language. But fundamentally, it doesn't really change anything that we're doing. We've been preparing for this kind of event for quite a while now, and really just making our decisions based upon what's happening across the world and in our local regions.
Yet this comes on the same day, Dr. McGeer, and just a few moments ago, where the President of the United States, Donald Trump, just declared that there would be a travel ban of people coming from Europe to the United States. And the UK, I understand, is an exception. Is that the right way to go at this point?
So I think what the science tells you is that travel bans are not nearly as effective as you think they might be. And I think we, for instance, in Canada, should be really pleased and proud of our government for holding on to the science-based approach to what works and what doesn't work. And I think for all of us countries at the moment, I think we really need to be focused on what we need to do to protect ourselves from community transmission in our countries, as opposed to worrying about what happens with other people coming from other countries to us.
Well, let me push the question a little bit further. I mean, you talk about spread within our countries. Let's talk about Canada and the United States. Do you ever foresee a day where the Canada-US border could be closed down? Because in a way, we're sort of like one country. You can feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, I think we're probably not going to do that, in part because we recognize that travel restrictions are one piece of public health interventions that might slow progress down. So there's a bit of a temptation to say now that because we have so many fewer cases in Canada than some places in the United States, that we might worry about travelers from the United States. But again, that kind of restriction might delay our outbreak by a week, maybe even 10 days.
Right.
And the damage that it does is probably just not worth that week's delay, and it's only a week's delay.
Dr. Sinha, at this stage in the game, with what we know, how much more dangerous is this coronavirus compared to something like, say, the seasonal flu?
Yeah, well, I mean, when we compare things like SARS versus coronavirus versus the flu, we know that SARS, for example, killed 50% of older people who would get this. Right now, we're seeing that rates of about 15% in the elderly with COVID. So less deadly than say, SARS, but it's 7 times more deadly right now than the flu. So it's something we need to be worried about. But again, many Canadians right now haven't even gotten their flu shot.
Right.
And so we should do things we can protect ourselves against right now.
But and I remember you mentioned just a few moments ago the importance of getting the flu shot. You also mentioned the pneumonia vaccine. Is there any sense that either of those two things help protect particularly against this coronavirus?
Not particularly against the coronavirus. Right now, there's work going on for a vaccine against that.
Right.
But what we do know is that if you get COVID, for example, you might also get a co-infection with a bacterial pneumonia or potentially influenza. So the thing is, by maximizing your protection against other things that we know we have tools against, that's how you can best protect yourself overall.
If you do get COVID-19, how do you tell the difference between that and something like, say, the common cold or even the flu?
There's a lot of overlap in the symptoms, especially since 80% of people with COVID-19 have fairly mild symptoms that, can have runny nose, sore throat, cough, fever. So really it comes down to the testing.
That's the only way. There's no way to tell just from the symptoms that you have.
Just from the symptoms, it's very difficult to distinguish between the two.
Do we know if you get sick from COVID-19, whether you can get sick again from it once you've recovered, or do you develop a kind of immunity from it? What do we know on that front, Dr. McGeer?
We do know that you make antibodies pretty quickly when you get infected, and they look like what they're called neutralizing antibodies. So they look like antibodies that should protect you from reinfection. But the truth is, until we can actually test it, until we have a group of people who've had it once and been observed to be exposed,
Right.
We're not going to know for sure. So that's some months away, probably.
And along the lines of this question, and Dr. Hoda, maybe I'll put this one to you. One of the questions we actually got recently was if wider community spread is inevitable, this person's asking, should I try to catch COVID-19 now in order to not overwhelm the system? later on down the road.
Yeah, you know, that kind of a strategy is not something we're encouraging at all. I think what we're still trying to do is prevent people from getting it as much as possible, especially those who could be vulnerable to get really the more severe illness, the elderly, those with other health conditions that put them at risk, like heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, cancer, and immune suppression.
Dr. Sinha, how are you advising your patients in terms of how long the virus can survive on surfaces? And so think of desks, or think of phones that people have, or think of their clothes, you know.
Yeah, right now what we know is that it can last for hours or even sometimes days. And so if you're touching surfaces that other people may have touched, for example, it's a good opportunity to clean them and make sure that you wash your hands. And those are some of the things we're recommending right now. But we're talking about maybe hours to days. And so that's why it's just best to, you know, make sure that surfaces that other people might touch, you know, you're keeping clean.
Is there a point in the very near future, Dr. Hoda, that you think that folks should really be thinking about avoiding high traffic areas? So, you know, shopping malls, movie theaters, public transit, that sort of thing.
Yes, I mean, those are what we call sort of social distancing, or, you know, just trying to keep people from congregating in areas where you can have a lot of traffic, a lot of, a lot of people together. And at that point, you know, that point will be decided by public health and communicated to the public.
But you don't think we're necessarily at that point where we should all be reconsidering our plans?
No, not at this point. I mean, right now, at least in most parts of Canada, we haven't seen community spread. So, you know, it's not until we see that it's more widespread that we would actually want to try and prevent people from being in close contact with each other.
When it comes to a lot of folks being together in the same place, Dr. McGeer, one of the recent questions we had was around cruise ships, and we know that these can be fairly sort of infectious places, for lack of a better word. But they were wondering if that's true for cruise ships, isn't it also true for the apartment building that I live in, the condo, you know, the big sky, thousands of people live there, we're all using the same elevator?
No, so completely different. If you think about a cruise ship, first of all, the space that you're living in is much smaller, right? You have a stateroom, okay, which has a bed in it and maybe a desk, and then the entire day you are out with other people. You're eating with other people. You're swimming with other people. You're, I don't know, playing pool with other people. So cruise ships are in fact very, very crowded environments. You have a lot of close contact with a lot of people, and a piece of this is just empiric evidence. We know that cruise ships are a huge problem for influenza outbreaks and gastroenteritis outbreaks, and that's the living example. That doesn't happen in your apartment building. So you know your apartment building is different.
I have time for one more question, and Dr. McGeer, I'll put this one to you as well. If once the weather starts to warm up, does that mean the virus will wane in any way?
I think the answer is we can hope. Many respiratory viruses do not transmit as well in temperate climates in the summer months. We actually don't know why, which makes it really hard to predict what might happen. And so I think there is reason to hope that we might get an abbreviated wave and then a break until the fall. But it's really just hope. It's not based on evidence, and it may just be that this virus will keep going right through the summer.
And just speaking of hope, I can't help but think of the possibility of a cure, a vaccine. I suppose that's still a ways away as well.
You know, people have taken the example of Ebola, where a huge amount of effort went into accelerating a vaccine, and the world did an amazing job about getting a vaccine out, and it works, okay? It's awesome. And so I think there are a lot of people that are hoping we can replicate that, but replicating that it still probably means a vaccine is, at a minimum, 18 months away.
Dr. McGeer, Dr. Sinha, and Dr. Hoda, thanks so much for this.
And now, if it's time to call your health authorities about where to go for testing, don't let the whole process frighten you. It's actually quite simple and quick, as Christine Birak found out during a dry run in a CBC News exclusive.
Canadians are landing in emergency rooms asking if they have COVID-19.
Blue will be at top, okay.
The University Health Network showed us what happens next, minus the wait.
Hi, so we have a patient with a positive screen named Christine.
The screener shares symptoms and travel history with a nurse who prepares to take a look.
Now, the person that's being screened is supposed to sit about 2 meters from other people that are in the waiting room.
Hi, Christine.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Cherry. I'm one of the nurses here. You can please follow me.
More questions followed by a quick exam.
So we're gonna do your blood pressure.
The information then gets passed on to the doctor.
She or he will decide whether to do a swab or not to test for COVID.
After a quick check, the ER doctor makes the call. A nasal swab goes down the throat or up through the nose.
So if you can pull down your mask.
Okay.
Am I swabbing?
I've never had this done before.
Yes, it's startling, but it's over in a moment.
That's it. It's all done.
The results take 24 hours, but doctors urge people not to just show up in hospital.
We need to be very careful about is not overburdening the departments so that we can still look after the very sick people.
Staff are also preparing for those scenarios.
We also have been really running drills on the worst case scenario, which is that if a patient comes in with COVID-19 and is in a cardiac arrest situation.
If we could get some intubation medications.
It's a mannequin, but in case you missed it, it exhaled, spraying workers like a patient. Afterwards, UV light reveals how far germs can travel.
It's stressful. Yeah, it's very stressful and anxiety provoking.
Reminding everyone, as this outbreak evolves, proper precautions must be taken by healthcare workers and patients alike. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
So where do you go if you think you're at risk? Well, the answer depends on where you live, but don't worry, we've done some research to help you out. Wherever you are in Canada, first thing is, if you even think there's a chance you could be infected, officials want you to check your recent history. Have you come in contact with anyone who's been in one of the affected areas in the last 14 days, or with anyone in contact with someone else who has been? Step 2, do you have any of these symptoms? Fever, fatigue, dry cough, headache, shortness of breath, or diarrhea? Now keep in mind, it can take anywhere from 2 to 14 days after exposure for the symptoms to show up. So if you feel any of those, self-isolate and check in with health authorities by phone first, and they'll tell you where to go. Don't just show up at your local hospital. In Ontario, call Telehealth Ontario at 1-866-797-0000. In Quebec, call 811 to set up an appointment at one of the province's specialized COVID-19 clinics. In Manitoba, the numbers there to call are 204-788-8200 or 1-888-315-9257. For all other provinces and territories, calling 811 will direct you to officials who can confirm if you qualify for testing. And please remember, if you are told to go to get tested, call ahead to the hospital or clinic to alert them that you'll be coming. Welcome back. Disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein could very well spend the rest of his life in prison. He was sentenced to 23 years behind bars today after being convicted of rape and sexual assault. The Me Too movement calls it justice, but as Zuleka Nathu tells us, Weinstein's lawyer has a very different take.
She didn't speak, but Jessica Mann appeared triumphant. Mann was one of the 2 women involved in Harvey Weinstein's rape and sexual assault convictions.
The judge sent a message today that this type of behavior is something that any potential offender is going to have to consider.
Weinstein's defense team says they will appeal, calling the 23-year jail sentence
total unfairness. And
it's close to the maximum and 3 times the mean sentence for similar crimes in the state, according to Weinstein's lawyers.
That number spoke to the pressure of movements and the public. That number did not speak to the evidence that came out at trial.
More than 90 women have accused Weinstein of misconduct. Many view the case as a landmark decision for the Me Too movement. In a statement, the Time's Up organization said, "The social change catalyzed by these survivors has been nothing short of transformational." Weinstein's legal battles are far from over. He still faces charges here in Los Angeles for 2 incidents in 2013, including an allegation of rape. Prosecutors are trying to bring him back to LA to face them. Lawyer Gloria Allred represents one of the women involved in the Los Angeles case who also testified in New York.
Now there are consequences to be remembered, and more potential consequences for Mr. Weinstein in the future.
For now, Weinstein is in the custody of Correctional Services, which will determine where the disgraced Hollywood producer will serve his sentence. Zuleka Nathu, CBC News, Los Angeles.
Now here are some of the other stories we are following tonight on The National. An investigation commissioned by the LA Opera determined a slew of sexual harassment allegations against Spanish opera star Placido Domingo are credible. He worked with the opera for more than 30 years until resigning last October after several allegations were first publicized. According to the findings, 10 women accused the legendary singer of inappropriate conduct dating back to 1986.
This is an investigation that needs to keep on going.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs welcomed Iran's decision today to transfer the black boxes from Flight 752 to Ukraine for analysis. This puts an end to a 2-month standoff over the fate of the plane's voice and data recordings. The jet was shot down by the Iranian military in January. All 176 people on board were killed, including 57 Canadians.
Last night, obviously, was not a good night for our campaign.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders was brought a resounding defeat last night, losing pivotal primaries to Joe Biden in Missouri, Idaho, Mississippi, and Michigan. The Vermont senator, once the front runner in the Democratic leadership race, is now trailing the former vice president by roughly 150 delegates. However, Sanders has vowed to fight on and is now preparing for the first one-on-one debate of the campaign Sunday.
After the break, we return to our special coverage of the pandemic.
We would recommend that there not be large crowds.
So what that means for sporting events and the fans, even March Madness is affected. Stay with us.
A dramatic move late tonight from the National Basketball Association shows just how quickly the coronavirus is having a big impact. The league has suspended its season until further notice. The decision came shortly after a game between Oklahoma City and Utah was called off at the last minute when one of the players tested positive for the illness. It's the latest sporting event to be upended by the coronavirus. Now, earlier today, the NCAA announced that March Madness will go ahead, but only essential staff and limited family will be allowed in arenas. And basketball isn't the only sport looking to make changes. Jamie Strachan is in Dunedin, Florida, with the latest.
At Blue Jays spring training, there is little talk about the coronavirus. Instead, the focus is on the season ahead.
I don't think we really quite understand what's going on right now, and so to just be as safe as possible is the best bet.
Major League Baseball has implemented small changes here. No media in the clubhouse. And Blue Jay manager Charlie Montoya spoke to the media behind a barrier. Player interviews are supposed to be done at a distance, but it's not being enforced. The coronavirus obviously having a huge impact on the world of sports, the way fans watch games and interact with players. But here at Blue Jays spring training and across Major League Baseball, it seems old habits die hard. Some players are choosing not to sign autographs, but most are.
We've met quite a few ball players already, and they've come to us.
High fives and handshakes are still common, and dugouts are still as dirty as ever. But Major League Baseball may escalate measures and maybe open the season in front of empty stadiums. Not a popular idea.
Different leagues have mentioned that and all, and I think the overall consensus of everybody is that it just wouldn't feel like a real game.
Blue Jays general manager Ross Atkins doesn't see things getting to that point.
We're not coming up with contingency plans that specific on something as drastic as that measure.
Atkins says the team is taking its cue from Major League Baseball and relying on the best information available. That's how the Blue Jays are proceeding for now. Jamie Strachan, CBC News in Dunedin, Florida.
And this story continues to develop. Following a decision by Ohio's governor to limit mass gatherings, the NHL's Columbus Blue Jackets have announced upcoming home games will be closed to the public. Meanwhile, the Quebec government has called off the World Figure Skating Championships. They were scheduled to start next week at the Bell Centre in Montreal. Skate Canada says it respects the decision.
And after the break, we hear from a patient with coronavirus.
And I said, I feel like y'all just sent me home to die. I said, I'm getting worse. I'm getting worse.
His message from quarantine is next in our moment.
Join me, Anna Maria Tremonti, as I take you inside the lives and minds of the people you think you know. More on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
A Bee's Diary, Friday at 9 on The Nature of Things.
Clay Bentley is an American from the state of Georgia, and a few days ago he tested positive for coronavirus. He believes he contracted the virus from his church choir. So he went to the hospital last week feeling sick, but he hadn't been traveling, so the hospital didn't test him for COVID-19. Now he's a patient under quarantine. He spoke out today from his hospital room, and his message is our moment.
I feel like I'm in prison because, nobody can come see me. I can't even walk out of the room. They asked me if I'd been out of the country, if I'd been to China, different places in the world, and I told them no. I don't go anywhere. I'm retired. So they sent me home on Monday. Well, I progressively got worse over the next few days. And I said, I feel like y'all just sent me home to die. I said, I'm getting worse. I'm getting worse. And once I got back to the hospital, then they started realizing that I probably have the coronavirus. And it's very lonely. It's a lonely place to be sick, and you can't even talk to your own family. It's been a long road, but I'm getting through it. I'm improving daily.
And you can hear him there. He really is hurting. He says he has fluid in both of his lungs. He has pneumonia in both of his lungs. Right. He is exhausted and clearly very stressed out. Oddly, his wife is a flight attendant, but the hospital there won't test her for some reason. They don't quite understand.
But I mean, it's so clear just listening to him. And I guess we've known this speaking and hearing from other people in isolation and self-quarantine, that there's very much this mental, psychological aspect to all of this, and the road to recovery there is not always straightforward. No. That's The National for this March 11th. Have a good night.
Good night.